Hello everyone, my name is Raquel and today I am going to give my mini ethnography case study presentation with my subject who I will refer to as Sela. First off is Sela's background. She is of Tongan and African American descent. Her mother is Tongan and her father is African American. She grew up in Ontario, California in an ethnically diverse community. It's got a good mix of Caucasian, Polynesians, Asians, um, Hispanic, and African American populations. She grew up speaking mostly English at home and everywhere else, and this later on posed a language barrier problem when she served her full-time mission in Auckland, New Zealand, where we met. She served in the Tongan speaking program and I served in the English speaking program. Um, she was able to overcome this language barrier eventually by using her talent in the arts. By sharing her art, she was also able to share her testimony of the gospel. After completing her mission, she returned to the United States and subsequently moved to Utah for a time, where she joined an art competition and won first place. This win opened up a lot of opportunities for her, primarily the career, like the game-changing career that she has now as a professional graffiti artist. And also, she's able to use her um, relative fame to advocate for her causes, such as promoting education and social support for Polynesian youth. She is now based in Oakland, California, and regularly partners with non-profit organizations that advocate providing education and social support to Pacific Islander youth. She also provides classes and mentoring in personal development programs sponsored by schools and government agencies for the Polynesian youth in her community. The first question I gave Zella is, what is a typical day in your high school life? She explained that her weekdays or school days would typically start at 6 a.m. With seminary until 7:30. After that, she would catch a ride with a friend from Ontario to Los Angeles to attend her high school. She would have 6 classes each day, and she really enjoyed that part of the day because she got to make a lot of friends and even um, got to know her teachers very well. And I think this is something to do with her being a part of the associate student body, which organizes student events and rallies that are participated by students, the student body, and supported by the school administration. And she would also participate in several school or after school activities and sports, sometimes or often 5 to 6 times a week. And then she would come home at around 9 p.m. at times, which her mom was okay with because she said that maybe it's her mom's way of keeping her and her siblings out of their house for as long as possible. The next question that I asked her was, what were the problems you observed as a young student? The very first thing that she mentioned is that drug problems and gang violence were everywhere when she was growing up. She said it was even so bad that hearing stories of schoolmates or neighbors getting shot as they were stepping out of their house was just normal. It wasn't so shocking anymore. Another problem was that many school districts in low-income communities were poorly funded by the government and had less police presence, low literacy, high dropout rates, lower resources, and support for students. I'm not so sure if this comes as a result of the drug and gang violence problem in their community, or if it's the other way around. Um, the third problem that she observed is that in poor areas in Oakland, um, children or students tend to have low self-esteem. They have issues with violence and behavioral problems, drugs and alcohol abuse, and racism. And this does not necessarily just affect people of color, but mostly people or children that come from dysfunctional families, no matter what their ethnic background was. And the last one is racism and discrimination, which were considered normal. It was not talked about openly because she felt like it was just swept under the rug. It's something that they just had to accept. You know, that's the norm in their society at the time. The next question that I asked her is, what are the difference in her school experience as a young student and now as a youth volunteer? I asked her this question since she has this benefit of being able to compare the experiences of the students that she works closely with because of her work and her own experience as a student. First thing that she shared was that teachers seem to be more inclusive now of students from minority populations, and not just that, but also those that are from lower socioeconomic standing. The next one is there seems to be more programs being developed and facilitated to promote and embrace cultural diversity. Also, teachers appear to be better trained in managing problematic behaviors and backgrounds, or students with problematic behaviors and backgrounds. They also seem to be more emotionally and mentally equipped to empathize and to accommodate the unique needs of difference that come from different backgrounds. And lastly, issues related to racism, discrimination, and inequality are more openly discussed. She even referred to that very controversial case involving police brutality on George Floyd, that case with George Floyd that we all probably heard of. Ever since that time, discussions about racism and discrimination and equality have become more open. The last question that I gave Sela is, what improvements do you think should be made in school programs? I'm just going to read through all the recommendations she gave, and I'll expound on and give a comment on it afterwards. First is inclusion of subjects about financial literacy, leadership skills, trainings, business and life skills in elective classes. Next is training teachers to be better mentors and role models. Next is implementing uplifting verbiage use, positive language reinforcement and affirmations, and introducing a more creative and comfortable classroom experience. Next is encouraging students to speak about their feelings, experiences, and opinions in a short segment in class. And last is to teach students so that they grow up to become leaders. In my observation, most of these recommendations are targeted towards us educators. I think educators should stop considering themselves as just transmitters of information to their students, and consider themselves as mentors, role models, and examples to these students who a lot come from precarious and less than ideal home environment or societal environment. I think that if teachers um, envision their students as future leaders. They will become more sensitive to the needs of their students. They will be more thoughtful in the kind of lessons that they will teach their students, and that they will not only give space to teach academic knowledge to students, but um, other things, even more important things that these students would be able to carry with them as they get older and as they become adult and hopefully productive and actively participating members of society. To end this presentation, I would like to share a quote from President Gordon B. Hinckley. He said that education is the key to opportunity. He couldn't have been more correct in this declaration. And so I hope that this presentation has brought more knowledge to all of us who has been trying our best to educate ourselves as we prepare to get into our individual practice in the field of education. And I hope that I've been able to transmit the message and purpose of my interview who has imparted her experiences and her ideas through this case study. I wish us all the best and good luck on finishing the rest of our um, special education 360 subject. Hopefully we'll all finish strong, and all the best in the next endeavors that we're going to take on. And I hope you all have a nice day.